Today, we talk about everybody's Star Wars favorite movie, The Last Jedi. And in order to do that, we'll have to use another beloved movie as an example, 2003's The Room. For those not aware what The Room is, it is a 2003 movie by Tommy Wiseau,
That's me.
who did pretty much everything. He was the producer, the scriptwriter, director, star, and all around amazing person who made this movie one of the worst movies ever. I mean, you may have seen the memes about this movie,
You are tearing me apart, Lisa!
and there are plenty of them, and you may have seen videos about it, mocking it. You may have seen The Disaster Artist, which was an amazing movie about how the room was sat out in the world, I guess. And you may think you know The Room, but believe me, if you've never been in a screening of The Room with other people, because before February 2020, people used to gather in cinemas and watch movies together. It's a hoot, and it's a hoot because you won't believe the level of incompetence of this movie. Just to state a few things done wrong with The Room, the script has no continuity. There are all those phrases that have been infamous.
I did not hit her. It's not true. It's bullshit. I did not hit her. I did not. Oh, hi, Mark.
Forever beloved, like, oh, hi, Mark. There are people playing American football just for fun, to pass the time. And there are characters that pop in and pop out of the movie without any explanations why. I mean, there are some explanations. Somebody was not available to film the ending, so they put in another character and stuff like that. And I mean, there are scenes where people go into somebody's house, they pop in, they say hi, they have a short discussion of 3 or 4 sentences, and then they leave within one scene because. Yes, if you believe that dialogue should be realistic, watch The Room.
Are you okay, Danny?
I'm okay.
Are you okay?
And you'll understand why dialogue in movies or books cannot be like dialogue in real life. The acting, of course, is good. The direction is. Saying that something was directed in this movie is a stretch of the imagination. There is no direction in this movie, but the direction, technically speaking, is okay. It's passable. The movie is so bad, it's not only hilarious, it's iconic. There's a reason there are so many memes. There's a reason this movie is such a big cult classic. And believe me, you have to watch it to believe how bad this movie is, and probably you love how bad this movie is. Because one can say that The Room is bad in every way that makes a movie entertaining. You know what? The only thing that one can think of when comparing these two movies is that Tommy Wiseau could make a Kylo Ren. A fun Kylo Ren, not a better Kylo Ren, of course. Adam Driver gives a great performance as Kylo Ren in all 3 Star Wars movies. The reason that I would use The Room as an example of everything The Last Jedi is not, it's because, The Last Jedi is very controversial. It's probably the most controversial Star Wars movie, and I wouldn't consider it the worst movie in the Star Wars canon. Some people loved The Last Jedi, some people hated it. I was fascinated because on its own, The Last Jedi is a fantastic movie. It's full of amazing visuals. There is this very iconic scene in the Battle of Freight where the planet bleeds as the fighter planes skim on its surface and tear it apart. And there's so much nuance in this movie. I mean, where Kylo Ren is heading towards the Rebel spaceship, and he understands, he feels that his mother is on the spaceship bridge and he's about to blow it up. So he hovers his thumb over the trigger, hesitates, and doesn't take the shot. And in the very next scene, one of his wingmen is firing the shot that destroys the bridge. And this is a very powerful scene about how futile is war and how complicated Kylo is. And the futility of war is a powerful theme throughout The Last Jedi. I mean, we have the casino with the rich profiteers selling on both sides of the war. We have internal disputes that self-sabotage both sides, both the rebels and the Not Empire, the New Order. It's New Order, right? There are some brilliant plans put to motion and they lead to dramatic failures, and the only heroism shown is when lives are sacrificed. I know that many people hated what The Last Jedi did with Luke Skywalker. I get why, but I found that his story arc was very interesting. The backstory of the Kylo Ren origin is told through a series of flashback, sort of like Rashomon, with different points of view, detailing their version of the story, and then we have the full story. And what the full story is that Luke Skywalker had a moment of weakness. He had a vision that his nephew would cause a new war. So, you get the baby Hitler paradox. Would you kill Hitler as a baby and save millions of lives? And what Luke ponders is killing Ben Solo, his nephew, while he's sleeping. But he awakes, he sees that, and this sparks the war that Luke is so afraid of and tries to stop. And he's burdened by his guilt. He's burdened that he created a new Vader. So, in the end of the movie, Force projects himself across the universe to apologize. And then he dies, and he's unburdened, and his arc is complete. That's amazing. Despite not being the look you want to see, I get that. And there's also some amazing scenes. There's the throne scene, the whole throne scene, the suspense, the betrayal, the fight that happens afterwards. That's amazing. And I think that Kylo Ren is the breakout character in the Disney Star Wars trilogy, episode 7, 8, and 9. He's very complicated, he's very tragic, he's definitely has an arc throughout the movies, despite how they turn out to be. I mean, even the ending, there is this message that a nobody can become a Jedi hero. So we don't have any more Skywalker family drama. I would say that The Last Jedi is a great movie, but it's great in all the wrong ways. If The Last Jedi was a standalone deconstruction of Star Wars, let's call it, I don't know, space battles or something, it would have been a perfect movie. And even the most fervent critics of The Last Jedi would agree. It's a great deconstruction of Star Wars. It's a great Star Wars with real nuisance. And probably some of the people who scream and cry and make videos and videos about it on YouTube would love this movie. And I would add that probably because it has to adhere to Star Wars canon and Star Wars continuity, it's held back in significant ways. I mean, it could lose a couple of more characters, come to think of it, and make it an even better movie. Because, let's be fair, if you make a Star Wars movie about the futility of war, you must be stupid. Star Wars is all about heroism, good versus evil, and yes, there have been some movies that blur the line between good and evil. I mean, we had Rogue One, where the good guys lose and sacrifice themselves for the greater good, and their sacrifice allows the heroes of A New Hope to go on with their plan. We have Revenge of the Sith, that is a tragedy. We have the tragic falling of Anakin Skywalker, and to be fair, the prequel Anakin Skywalker is a bit of an asshole. He's a big jerk that has many failings, and that's intentional. It is built in there so that Anakin can fall to the dark side, and I get that. And actually, in retrospect, after having watched the new trilogy, I appreciate the prequels for there was a plan there, there was a story arc, and it was not done good. I get that, but it makes sense. Even Jar Jar Binks, which is very annoying, is there for a reason. Because nepotism and And stolen valor, knowing the right people, can lead incompetent people into places of power, and they are the key for the bad guys, for the dictators to destroy democracy. This is how democracy dies. It's very powerful, and the Revenge of the Sith, despite the failings of the prequels, managed to do that. And of course, there is Empire Strikes Back, which ends in a cliffhanger. The rebel forces are blooded, but that works because that's the dark night of the soul. That's where the good guys have to regroup and fight back. That's great. It works within the frame of a trilogy. And all three of them are some of the most acclaimed Star Wars movies, because if you inject a little bit of darkness in Star Wars, a little bit of despair instead of hope, then you get something magical. The Last Jedi fails to do that because it injects too much despair in Star Wars and very little hope. The characters are the key issue that I hate The Last Jedi, because everybody is an asshole. And okay, Kylo works because he's supposed to be an asshole, but the rest of them, no can do. I mean, you have the heroes. We're supposed to love Rey, Finn, and Poe in this trilogy, and in The Last Jedi, Poe, Finn, along with Rose, go on harebrained plan that kills almost everybody in the Resistance. And this happens because Holdo, another new character, is too stubborn to talk with Poe and have faith in him. Poe goes his own way, comes up with his own plan, and it ends up destroying everything Holdo was trying to do. And of course, we have the pick of stupidity. We have Rose that comes in and stops Finn from sacrificing himself in the Battle of Crate, and of course atoning for what he did earlier on, how his plan led to the destruction of many of the Resistance forces, because if Poe and Finn haven't gone into their own plan, then the Resistance forces will have evacuated the ships, slowly but steady. They will have regrouped in Crate, and they will have escaped from the New Order. But they didn't. And if Finn had smashed his X-Wing into the cannon that Kylo Ren used, he would be dead. And that would actually make this movie great. And I don't know if somewhere in time we'll have a first draft of the Last Jedi script where Leia remains dead and Finn sacrificed himself. And both of these additions will make this movie feel so much more impactful, because there are those twists that actually take away some of the drama. The Last Jedi would have been great if it hadn't been a Star Wars movie, and also it had been even more dramatic and hopeless. And of course we have Rey, and Rey in The Last Jedi is what I would call a point of view character, so that we can witness Kylo Ren's daddy issues with his uncle and his he wasn't Stroke. It's Snoke. It's not Stroke, but I could call that this movie has a bad touch. So yes, I guess that if you go out and say feminism ruins Star Wars, no, I think that The Last Jedi pretty much ruins feminism in its own way, because no woman in this movie appears to be competent, apart from Leia, of course. Well, I mean, the main characters that we're supposed to love in this movie, they're never together, and they actually group together and they're on screen at the same time only in Rise of Skywalker, the third movie of the trilogy. And that's quite a failure, and Poe, Finn and Rey should have been in this movie for at least a while and work together and let us know them, let them know each other, and let the audience love the interactions. We're supposed to love these people. The only character that grows in this movie is Kylo Ren, the edgy emo boy from the Zeros that wants to burn the past down and burn everything down because nothing matters, because his parents didn't love him. And you know what? I think that's the core audience for the film, the Kylos of this world. The Last Jedi fails as a Star Wars movie in every possible way. because it appeals to the Kylos, it appeals to those edge boys who used to mock Star Wars movies for being dumb kid movies, and I know that, I've been one of them. And then I watched the Star Wars movies again as an adult, and I saw, this is great, these are great movies, because I was not a teenager anymore. And yes, calling out every dumb Star Wars trope in your movie and trying to twist it around and make something far more great and deconstructive and amazing that will give you backpats in your screenwriter circles is not a good idea when making a Star Wars movie. And while The Last Jedi shows an extraordinary competence on a film level, it is totally incompetent on a meta level. It doesn't understand what your audience wants. And again, I'm not sure if I can blame Ryan Johnson for this, because I think that his past work in Breaking Bad or his first movie, they were far different than what Star Wars is all about, but there was no clear idea what a Star Wars movie is and who they want to appeal to. I mean, if their audience were boys, forever boys at heart, who want to see another adventure of Star Wars, then make your characters heroic. If your target audience is young adult girls, make sure that you have a love triangle in there and have Rey between, I don't know, Finn and Kylo, or Poe and Kylo, or all three of them. Whatever. Reverse harem is a successful genre. The Last Jedi was everything a Star Wars movie was not supposed to be. It was unheroic, it was nihilist, it was deconstructive. And okay, I watched The Room earlier this year and I had a blast. I hated every minute of it. Believe me, it's very bad. And I was laughing at the badness, and I left the cinema feeling amazing. Because, yes, that's the point, laugh at how bad the movie is. But The Last Jedi is not like that. I watched it back in 2015 when it came out, and I was in the cinema. It was a packed cinema, something it will take years to see again. And I loved every minute of it. I mean, I was clapping loudly when the throw scene happened. And then I left the cinema, I was thinking about the movie, and I was getting more and more pissed, and I was getting a mad rage because you gave me those heroes and you destroyed them throughout this movie. And that's not what I expected from a Star Wars movie. And judging from the reactions, I'm not the only one. So that's my thoughts on how The Last Jedi is the perfect opposite of The Room. And I hope you like this video. Thank you for listening to my ramblings for this long. If you want to keep listening to these ramblings, subscribe to the channel, leave a like if you like this video, and thank you for watching. May the 4th be with you.